Afternoon, everybody. Welcome into the PreCap show, as I have dubbed it, with a preview/recap of last night's game. And revenge is best served at Coral Gables. And Chris Muller, welcome in for a happier show than we could have had it been a loss to late night last night. And Ole Miss is in the winners bracket as we speak. Today, getting ready to take on the host number 1 seed Miami Hurricanes. Chris, how are you?
I'm great, Austin. A lot of fun last night. Guys really showed up in all the categories. Pitching wise, DeLucia, and then Mallets, and then Johnson to shut it down. But DeLucia and Mallets were the two stars in my opinion. Johnson, did the job. Obviously, allowed no runs, but really the game was won by DeLucia and by Mallets in my opinion. And then what can we say about Peyton Chatagnier last night? I mean, kind of a career game for Peyton, honestly. 4 RBIs, two big hits, and could not have come at a more opportune time for Ole Miss when you look at the time of the ball game that we were at. So Arizona had, after Jacob tying it with his home run at 2, then Arizona got 2 to go up 4-2. And then Peyton ties it with a 2-run shot, which, 10 home runs on the year, I believe. And so Peyton's got some pop in his bat, but it's not the guy that we look for on an everyday basis to give us a lot of power, but obviously got a lot of pop in the bat. And then the huge bases clearing double. And I know he only got credited with 2 RBIs in that situation, but you take Peyton Chatagnier out of that game and it's a whole different ball game. He accounted for 5 of the 7 runs. So, just hats off to him. It was. I'm just really, really happy that Peyton Chatagnier is Ole Miss Rebel and didn't end up at a place like Texas A&M.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, Peyton Chatagnier. There was a time this season where Peyton Chatagnier was dubbed the rally killer by some people because he just could not figure out that swing. He was really struggling at the plate. Double plays were a huge struggle for him coming up in big situations, and he has just stayed with it. And it is paying off when it really matters now. And last night, I mean, it's literally a 4-2 loss for Ole Miss if Peyton Chatagnier is not in the game. And we're talking about a whole different scenario for Ole Miss baseball today. So, again, you take Peyton Chatagnier away from that game last night. I saw someone post on Twitter last night, and I cannot remember who it was, that you can say what you want about Peyton Chatagnier, but he's number 1 in the gives a crap statistic category about this team. The guy wants to win. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I believe that was Brian Scott Rippey. So credit to Rippey for pointing that out. A great comment, and I know Aaron Fitt picked it up as well from a national standpoint. So, but the cool thing about our team is it just seems like it's a different guy every night that comes through in the clutch, whether it's, one day it's Hayden Leatherwood with a home run. The next day it's maybe a TJ McCants. And then, all of our really, really top of the lineup guys, but even the bottom of the lineup guys just really tend to come. One of them will come through every weekend for us and put something together that you just don't see coming. So really hats off to the whole lineup for sticking with it and getting after it.
Yeah. And I mean, Dylan DeLucia, I've run out of words to say about the guy. He is just so steady out there. He has been a lifesaver literally for this Ole Miss baseball season, being put in that Friday night rotation. Other than the one fluke game, obviously, against Tennessee, he has been solid all year in every start. And then last night he did exactly what you need him to do. The 2 home runs, you really can't fault him too much for that. That was kind of a rough inning. The strike zone was very wide for both pitchers. So you're kind of trying to figure out where to throw the ball, where you can get the strike, and then you just leave a couple hanging with the humidity last night. Ball's probably slick, and it's going to happen. Arizona's got a lot of pop in their bats, but DeLucia did a great job of not letting that get in his head, not letting that affect him, and bouncing back. It ends up with 12 strikeouts on the night, and quite frankly, probably could have had more if he just hadn't. He had just thrown so many pitches. Bianco probably wisely taking him out. He was getting up there in the 110, 112 pitch mark. You got to be wise with your pitcher's arm there. But just a phenomenal performance from DeLucia. I just can't say enough about that guy.
No doubt. And like you said, I think the cool thing about DeLucia was he was able to put those 2 home runs behind him and not let it build. And so it never seemed like maybe they threatened one or two other times, but it was never to an extent that you felt like an inning was about to unravel, which is the true mark of a really good pitcher. That, yeah, give up a home run, it's fine, but solo shots aren't going to beat you. It's the 2 run shots that honestly that we had our 2 home runs were 2 run shots, and so that really, when you look at it, is not the difference in the ball game because we needed the runs that Peyton hit in off his double, but that really is, when you start to do damage is when you get those multiple run shots and put those up, and the scoreboard with the crooked numbers just looks a lot different than when you've got a bases empty shot and it's just a guy trots around the bases and okay, cool, you got 1 run, but it doesn't really affect the whole nature of the ball game.
Yeah, it absolutely. I mean, Jacob Gonzalez, of course. That was so close to being a foul ball. Man, that was it was so close. But boy, his swing is so pretty. I just love his swing. But yeah, just the mental attitude we talked about at the preview show, what you were just talking about just now. Their mental fortitude at the plate has changed completely since midway through SEC baseball. They are a completely different team. They get down by a couple of runs, and all of a sudden, you string some base hits together. Hitting is contagious. Boom, tie game. Then you kind of get unlucky with the 1 inning where they get a couple more runs and go up 4-2, and then you just bounce right back. And I mean, it's incredible to see the difference in this team. And again, a lot of that goes to the experience that we've discussed time and time again, the experience on the team and the experience on that bench with Coach Bianco. Being able to keep this team grounded is something that just cannot be overstated. In a situation like this, that could have been a very easy late in the game. Arizona goes up 4-2, and it's very easy to, man, all right, well, we guess better get ready for Canisius. No, not going to bounce back, and then you end up scoring the next 5 runs, and you win the game by 3. And speaking of which, boy, we were so close. You predicted an 8-4 win, and I predicted a 7-5 win. We were right in between. We both win.
We both win. That's correct. We're right in the ballpark, which is pretty cool to see. Who's to say what that means? If anything, it just means we found an acorn in the forest, so to speak, from a squirrel perspective. But just really, really proud of the guys as far as sitting around for 2 days. So we were supposed to play on Monday originally, and that got flushed really early. And then the late start really, I think they went to go see Top Gun, which excellent movie choice, by the way. If you haven't seen it, shameless plug for Top Gun.
Phenomenal.
I don't get any money off of this, so shameless plug for Top Gun, though. Excellent movie. Check it out in IMAX if you can. But I think that they did some things that allowed themselves to get away from the game and to get outside of what the normal preparation was. I don't know what their normal preparation is when they're at home, but I'm sure it's a lot different than when they're on the road. And just the not having the ability to know when you were going to play yesterday had to be just a little bit unnerving. But I do think that, and I asked Peyton this in post game, I do think that the SEC tournament snafu of having to play, I believe he started at 10 o'clock at night. I do think that at least it gave them a little bit of taste of what it was going to be like to play night hour. And, it's obviously well past anybody's bedtime, even from an athlete standpoint. So to be able to perform at a really high level at that time of the day, I think that SEC tournament, while the score and the results of the game didn't really help us a whole lot when it came to being selected, I think understanding what it took to perform at that time of day was really important for us, and it allowed Bianco to even talk about that with the team pregame. It's like, hey, look, this is what happened in Hoover, and so you're ready and you know what it's all about. So kind of unique situation as far as that goes, but I think we turned a negative situation into a really positive one last night.
Yeah, and I mean, Ole Miss is so used to playing in rain delays or late nights because of Hoover that is something that a lot of these teams don't understand. What can we do to pass the time? And I think you mentioned it, getting away from the game, I think was a very important move on their part, because it allows you to just get your minds off of that racing of when we're going to play. Oh man, what are we going to do? Oh, here we go, late night, and we got to face Arizona. Just all the things that could go through your head. And they were able to kind of relax, and then they got out there to the ballpark and were just kind of chilling, watching the game, and just being fans there for a little while and spectators. And I think being relaxed showed in their ability to recover from two-run deficits in the game. And then the energy that they have, the energy that they brought, despite it being so late / early at the end, was a big deal. And then, going back to the pitchers real quick too. I mean, 20 strikeouts last night combined, just an incredible number. Now, granted, the strike zone was wide. For both teams, it was wide. But hey, we'll take it. Any advantage you can get, and the pitchers for both teams, really, even Irvin early in the game, they used it to their advantage once they figured it out.
They did, and I don't have a problem with a wide strike zone per se. I do have a problem on strike three. Early in the game, and I tweeted this out, but that one on Elko, that was a snatch job. Anytime the catcher snatches the ball like that and tries to reset it, the message that he's sending to the umpire to everyone is, hey, I know this pitch is a ball, but I'd really appreciate it if you'd help me out with a gift right here. And in my opinion, that's what was given in that situation. Like I said, don't have a problem with the wide strike zone. Strike three, you just can't come back from those. Strike one, strike two, whatever. The hitter can adjust to those and finish his at bat in a natural way. But strike three is just so tough to handle from a hitting perspective, because that pitch was down and out, in my opinion. And if you watch the video, you can check it out on my Twitter account. It's a legit snatch that in reset, and I'm like, wow. Our catcher, and it's Susak, who's a really talented catcher, so I'm not going to take anything away from Daniel, but Hayden just seems to set things a little bit differently than Susak does. So Hayden takes pitches that are nuanced pitches and makes them look really good. Whereas in my opinion, Susak a lot of times just totally reset the ball no matter where it was and just hope for the best. And to his credit, he did get a couple of those that weren't, in my opinion, necessarily strikes. But we're all dealing with the same umpire, and as long as he has the same strike zone, I guess everything's the same.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, that wasn't a frame. He was set up outside, way outside, and then the ball went even further outside, and he's got to grab it and bring it back in. I mean, it was pretty crazy there. But talking about Susak, what you just mentioned with Daniel Susak, we talked about him in the preview show. Limiting him, don't let him beat you, and that is exactly what they did. He went 1 for 4 last night. He did not have an RBI. He did not have a run. He struck out once. That is a big part of this Arizona offense. Let somebody else beat you. A couple other guys got the big hits for Arizona, but Ole Miss got more big hits, and taking Susak out of that equation is a big deal when you're facing this Arizona team.
It is, no doubt. And I think conversely, I think Arizona did a really good job of pitching around Tim when they had the opportunity to. I think the first at bat or second, I can't remember the one. I think he struck out on the second one. The first at bat, I think he walked though, and every pitch they threw that at bat, I was like, they're pitching around him. They're pitching around him. They're pitching around him. And I really couldn't blame them. I just didn't want it to go that way. I mean, obviously you want one of your best hitters to get a hack at the ball, but I don't blame Arizona at all for pitching around him. And I think as we move toward talking about Miami a little bit, I think that's going to be the theme of the day for us when it comes to not getting beat. I think Canisius failed in that category, if I'm not mistaken. And I didn't see all of the Miami Canisius game. Austin, I know you saw a little bit more of it than I did. So talk a little bit about where Canisius made their mistakes yesterday.
Yeah, I watched that entire game, and there are 2 words to describe what mistake Canisius made, and that is Yohandy Morales. The guy hit 3 home runs yesterday. I mean, at some point, you have to understand that guy is the dude for Miami. He hits in that 3 spot for a reason. He is an electric player. He makes me nervous. I'm not going to, I mean, with Elliott pitching today, who is phenomenal, but he's a freshman, and you got just a star in Yohandy Morales out there. He hit 3 home runs, and you got bases open, or you've got 1 out, 2 out situations for Canisius, and they still pitched to him. And he went 4 for 4 yesterday, and he had a walk on top of that with 3 of those 4 hits being home runs. You have got to understand your opponent, and that's where Canisius failed yesterday. I don't know if I'm assuming they had a scouting report on Morales, but even if you didn't, after the first 2 home runs, don't pitch to the doggone guy again when the game is still close. And they did, and he drove the nail right into the coffin on Canisius. And I think a lack of understanding their opponent and really playing this level of competition, if you're Canisius, is where it really failed him yesterday.
Yeah, even if they don't have the scouting report, you've got a stat page, right? I mean, Arizona put out a stat page that has everybody's team leaders on it. I've got it right here, and I just looked down this list. Leader in slugging percentage for Miami, Yo-Yo. Leader in doubles, Yo-Yo. Leader in triples, Yo-Yo. Leader in home runs, Yo-Yo. I'm not a college baseball coach, but good gosh, I can look down a stat sheet and figure out the guy that's going to probably get a good swing on you.
Yeah, maybe that's the guy you shouldn't pitch to. I mean, walk in. I don't care if the bases are loaded, and if you're up, walk the dude and pitch to the next. Take your chances. But the guy, I mean, he's just a home run waiting to happen. And I mean, to his credit, he saw his pitches and he hit his pitches, and that is what great players do. And I'm not a college baseball coach either. I know it is very difficult to make those decisions in game. That's why you have guys like Bianco who've been doing it for 20-something years. They've got a lot more understanding of the game than I do. But I think Bianco, if I'm Coach Mike Bianco, I look at Yo-Yo Morales walking to the plate. I'm like, you know what? Hold up the 4 fingers. Let's go to the next guy.
No doubt. And, the only time you might not do that is if there's runners on first or second or the bases loaded, something like that. But if there's an empty bag, I mean, let the next guy beat you. There's no shame in that. There's none of this, puff out your chest and see, make sure you can, let pitch to that guy with runners on. If runners are on second and third, there's no doubt in my mind he's walking. If the bases are empty, he's probably walking too. But I don't want to see that guy go off again. Not in my book.
No, definitely not. I definitely don't. I mean, I agree with you 100%. If there's a base open, you let the next guy beat you. I mean, maybe if you've got a 5 or 6 run lead and there's 2 outs and nobody on base, okay, let's try to get the 3rd out now. But even then, man, you don't want to give them any kind of momentum, and he is so good at getting the momentum back. I mean, Canisius was up 4-0 in that game. I mean, they jumped out to a 4-run lead, and it was literally boom, a 2-run homer, a Morales homer, games back within 1. Then the game is tied, and then Miami's got all the momentum, and they just kept it up. And Canisius did not score again. The pitching staff for Miami is phenomenal. We're going to talk about the ace for Miami, who's going to be going today, and he is no joke. Against Hunter Elliott. And real quick, before we get into Miami's lineup, I will let you guys know that Bianco did just release their lineup for today, the Ole Miss lineup, and it is the exact same lineup as it was last night, down to the batting order, if I'm not mistaken. So you got bench Gonzalez, Elko, Graham, Alderman, Dunhurst, Chatinier, Leatherwood, and McCants with Elliott on the mound.
So we would assume by that TJ's thumb is pretty good this morning, by all indications. So when you look at who's going to pitch to Yo-Yo, obviously we talk about Hunter Elliott. And, going back the last couple starts for Hunter, the only blip on Hunter's radar in the last 4 starts was his A&M start. Ole Miss did end up winning that ball game. But the other 3 starts were Arkansas, Missouri, and LSU. And he went 6+ innings in all 3 of those ball games. Really, really well. Did really, really well. Looks like he only allowed – runs-wise, he only allowed 1 run against Missouri and LSU, allowed 3 against Arkansas, but we all know that Arkansas lineup is really, really stout. So I think Hunter's got a good chance to go a long way today, as long as we pitch around people like Morales, and don't let him get to us. But I think that Hunter is one of these young. He reminds me, for obvious reasons, a lot of Doug Nikhazy. Down to the number, the hairstyle, everything else like that. So I think he's. We talk about freshmen, but Hunter Elliott has pitched at Baton Rouge. Hunter Elliott has pitched at Arkansas. I don't think that 4,500 people at Mark Light Stadium is going to scare Hunter Elliott. I just don't. With no disrespect to those people at Miami at all, it's a great atmosphere for them. There's obviously a ton of other things to do in Miami over the course of any given weekend, and so they just don't get it's not the same vibe that it is in Oxford, Mississippi, or Fayetteville, Arkansas, or Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So I don't think this moment is going to be too big for him, as long as he can keep the game between the lines and keep the game in his head.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you on that. And I mean, yesterday they posted a tweet about their crowd. It was like 2,500 and some odd people. I mean, that's nothing compared to what Hunter Elliott has seen in Baum Walker and Baton Rouge. So I think he'll be just fine. But looking at his opponent, Carson Palmquist is the presumed starter today for Miami. He is the ace for the Hurricanes, and he's no joke. He's 9-4 on the season. He's got a 3.09 ERA in 78 innings pitched. He's allowed just 68 hits, 33 runs, 27 of those earned. He struck out 108 and walked just 28. So he is doing a phenomenal job on the mound for the Miami Hurricanes. He actually was a closer last year, relief pitcher last year, worked his way into the starting rotation this season. And he's a lefty as well, so it'll be the second consecutive game that Ole Miss has faced a starting pitcher that was a lefty. Again, he's got a lot of good stuff, but 3.09 ERA, I mean, he's a great pitcher, but it's nothing that Ole Miss hasn't seen before.
Yeah. We're an SEC school, and that means a lot when it comes to facing competition. We bounced the LSU pitcher really early, got to him. So there's not really anybody that scares me anymore. The cool thing is if we look way, way, way far ahead to this, if we were to rematch up even with Tennessee, they don't scare me anymore. So I think that I think our guys are ready for the challenge, and I think Mike Clement is going to have them ready to rock and roll. I'm sure he's already scouted it. I'm sure there was a lot of time put in the film room this week on scouting pitchers and pitchers' opponents. And I'm sure that the Miami pitcher was at the top of the list of people that we might get a look at for this week.
Yeah, I have no doubt that Ole Miss is going to be ready for what they're seeing. And again, you mentioned Tennessee. When you see Ben Joyce and Chase Burns and those guys already in a season, I mean, there's nobody that's compared to those guys out there. I mean, those are just absolute flamethrowers. After that, I mean, you've recovered a bit that as far as Ole Miss is concerned, you've recovered your ability to hit the fastball a little bit over the last few weeks, which is big because they were struggling with that a little bit after the Tennessee series. And now you're starting to get a lot more patient at the plate. You're starting to see more hits, more long at bats, and all that stuff is going to go into getting rid of Palmquist early today. And although they didn't chase Irvin, so to speak, early last night, they still made him work. And that's going to be key today against Palmquist as well. You would like to get to that Miami bullpen sooner than later and make Palmquist throw a lot of pitches, because I know this sounds like an obvious statement, but the more pitches that he has to throw, once you've seen everything he's got, then the at-bats can get longer and better.
I think our hitters have the ability to do that, and I think they've shown that when you look at the Grahams, the Gonzaleses, the Elkos, and even the Aldermans and people like that. I think that we've just our approach at the plate is, on the whole, is really mature and really impresses me from the ability to advance through at bats and to really go deep into at bats. And while sometimes we don't always get a productive at bat from a standpoint of moving the runner, or getting a big hit, we do get the quality at bats, and I think that's just as important, especially early in the game when you're looking at a starter and trying to chase the starter.
Yeah, 100%. And a quick update for those of you who weren't watching: Arizona has just defeated Canisius 7-5. So Canisius is eliminated from the Coral Gables Regional, and the loser of Ole Miss and Miami will play Arizona this evening. Approximately 6 o'clock Central Time. That game went a little bit longer than expected. Ole Miss was supposed to start around 2 Central Time. 55 minutes from now, they're probably going to start a little bit closer to 2:30. So that'll push everything back a little bit. But if Ole Miss was to lose today, they'll see Arizona for the second consecutive day. If they win, then they will move on and be safe tomorrow, and Arizona will face Miami in an elimination game. So Canisius put up a fight, but unfortunately could not get it done either day for the Fighting Golden Griffins that we were both rooting for, but they couldn't quite pull through for us there, Chris.
Well, they're 4 seed for a reason. So good try yesterday. You definitely made Miami work. So hang your hat high, or hang your head high for that. But I hope the young men from Canisius enjoyed their experience in the NCAA tournament, because that's what it's all about, really, is the experience, getting to go to someplace new and different in this situation, and see some other young men from other schools and visit with them, and the camaraderie that comes in to playing the game. So I do hope they enjoyed their experience. Unfortunately, there are 63 teams in this tournament that are going to have an experience just like Canisius did, where they're going to lose their last ball game of the season. But that's not to take anything away from the season that they had.
Yeah, great into their regular season to win their conference tournament and get into the NCAA tournament and get a little notoriety for their school and a little bit of visibility for Canisius College there. But a couple of good games from them. But Arizona is just a solid ball club, and beating Arizona twice in a row is hard to do, as Ole Miss can attest to very well. So they're a very good ball club, and Chip Hill's still got them ready to try and win their next elimination game. But again, we talked about it in the preview show before the regional started. It's a whole lot better when you get into that winner's bracket, because now someone's got to beat you twice, or you've got to lose twice at least. And that's a whole lot harder to do than losing your first game and then having to bounce back and play a second one that you could lose just as easily, on top of the fact that it was such a quick turnaround. So kudos to Arizona for being ready to play just 4 or 5 hours after finishing game one, got a few hours of sleep and jumping right back on the field. We'll see what happens in the game later on the night. Hopefully we'll have Ole Miss safe and sound, ready to go tomorrow morning, and Derek Diamond can get a little film study in himself.
Yeah, I'm impressed by Arizona, like you said, being able to get off the mat. It just shows you how big this next game is for both Ole Miss and Miami. The winner gets to sit. The loser has to play potentially three straight winner-go-home games, which is not the easiest thing to do. They have to, come back after a loss and win tonight, if that's the case, and then they got to sweep whomever it would be tomorrow to move on in the regional to the super regional round. So it's not an easy task. The 2-3-2 format is it's not fun for the team that has to come out of the losers bracket to take down the team that comes out of the winners bracket by any stretch of imagination. It's an uphill battle anyway for a team that has to come out of the losers bracket, but the 2-3-2 format makes it even tougher, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's brutal. I mean, you look at whichever team loses this next game, an hour later, less than an hour later, you're back on the field playing another game on the same day after you played a game yesterday. It'll be your third game in less than 24 hours. And then you got to get ready. If you win that one, you got to play, like you said, potentially 2 games the next day. You got to play 2 if you're going to win the regional on Monday. So your back-to-back double headers is not anything that a baseball team is looking forward to. And it's certainly not anything that a pitching staff is looking forward to, particularly when you don't really know how the game is going to go, how the next start is going to go, and how quickly you're going to have to go to the bullpen then. But it's win or go home. You've got to pull out all the stops. It makes it very difficult on the coaching staff in particular to make those decisions.
Right. I didn't think about this, but you kind of brought it up. So if you're Derek Diamond and you're the assumed game 3 starter. We've not gotten any indication whatsoever that Derek is not going to start game 3. So I'm assuming that he will. Pretty much everybody's assuming that he is. So from Derek's standpoint, if we get down in the game, you've got to start getting your head right that you're pitching tonight. And I realize that Mike told him that this morning, but it's still it's different to hear it than it is to see it on a scoreboard and be like, okay, I've got to lock in. I'm used to a 2-hour routine, and now my 2-hour routine is, an hour routine basically to get ready for this. And then I know they don't get hot until 15, 20 minutes before the game, but from a mindset standpoint, he's going to have to get his mind right. Even if we're down late in the game, he's going to have to build that mindset back up in his mind and get right to pitch. For hopefully, if we're down, hopefully he's able to put it on the shelf and bring it back out tomorrow. But it's an incredibly weird dynamic.
Yeah, the old saying, "Stay ready, you ain't got to get ready." Well, that's a lot easier said than done when you're in Derek Diamond's position, because you're coming into the day like, okay, yeah, am I going to pitch tonight? Am I going to pitch tomorrow? Okay, if we win, okay, good, I can relax for a little bit longer. If we start to lose, okay, now I've got to wrap my head around. Okay, how am I going to go about tonight? What's my strategy for tonight? How are we going to get back out there with a tired team and the humidity of Miami? All those things are going through his head. And like you said, it's going to be very difficult for him. So to make it easy on Derek, let's just win. That's what I say. Let's just get another W and just sit around and watch Miami and Arizona beat up on each other for another game while we're sitting pretty drinking those crazy milkshakes they've got down there at Mark Light Stadium and getting ready for a regional final tomorrow.
I'm very good with that. Go chill out at the pool at the hotel for a couple hours and then check out the end of Miami and Arizona tonight. I think that's a great idea, and I think I think Mike Bianco takes that, and everybody else takes it, and let's just do that. Good plan.
Well, the game will go at approximately 2:30 Central Time, so just under an hour from now, about 58 minutes from now. Ole Miss will take on Miami. Hunter Elliott going presumably against Carson Palmquist. We'll have all the live updates for you over at the Rebel Walk on Twitter. You can follow myself and Chris as well. We all like to live tweet the games because it's fun. Why not? So we all enjoy keeping you updated, and hopefully we'll have a lot more highlights. And hey, I say let's let Chatty get a few more RBIs tonight. What do we say? Make him the MVP of the whole darn thing while he's at it.
I'm good with that. You gonna try out a score prediction, Austin?
I've been sitting here racking my brain on the score prediction on this one. I'm not going to say the same thing I said for Arizona. I was close on that one. This game, it's got a different feel to me, but I still am not comfortable with the less than 5 runs against Miami either. So I think I'm going to go this time. Ole Miss is going to get the dub, and I'm going to say 8-5 on this one. It's going to be a little bit closer than I would like. Might get a little hairy at the end, like it likes to happen with Ole Miss baseball, but Ole Miss pulls out the 3-run victory.
All right. Well, I'm going more in your neck of the woods from what you had last night. Not as many runs, though, because Miami's throwing their ace, and I really respect Hunter Elliott quite a bit. So I'm going to go 6-4 Ole Miss.
All right, we've got an 8-5. We've got a 6-4. I'm fine with either one. Just like I said in game 1, I'm fine if it's 1-0, as long as it's Ole Miss 1, Miami 0. So I'll take it however we can get it. But excited about it, Chris. Hopefully we'll be talking about another win come tomorrow and doing a preview show for a regional final. Heads up for all the people watching. Chris and I will not have a recap show if Ole Miss loses in between games. So don't be expecting that. We'll be getting ready for game 2 as well. But hopefully we'll be talking about another Ole Miss win at least tomorrow. One way or another, we'll be talking about Ole Miss playing in the regional final, hopefully.
Absolutely. I'm excited. I think the guys have the right mindset. I think the energy level's there. So I think we get 2 more dubs and either head to what appears to be either Alex Box or Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, Chris, real quick. So I'm assuming that sounds like you've got the inside info on that. I was real curious who would host if Ole Miss and LSU both were to come out of the regional, and I assume it's going to be LSU based on what you just said there.
I think that's correct. I believe it goes to the higher seed. The only time the NCAA gets involved is when you have two seeds or 2-3 seeds, or in the weird situation where you might have 2-4 seeds that get through their regionals. I think that's the only time the NCAA gets involved. But from a fairness standpoint, it does seem like a fair thing for the 2 seed to host a 3 seed in a region or super regional. That being said, I know there was some weirdness that somebody didn't submit a bid that thought they were going to submit a bid or something like that. So it wasn't LSU though. LSU submits a bid every year. We submit bids every year. But I think LSU hosted it. I don't really love the rematch, and I know we're putting the cart way before the horse here, but to just go ahead and put it out there, I don't love the rematch with LSU. I don't like if we were going to rematch with LSU, I would have preferred not to sweep them for obvious reasons. The fact that they're a really good team, they're getting hot at the right time as well. So we'll just have to see how that regional plays out. I know LSU is in the driver's seat right now in Hattiesburg, so we'll have to see how the elimination game works out, and then their regional final would be this evening.
No lead is safe with the LSU Tigers right now. They've proved that in back-to-back games. But yeah, like you said, cart way before the horse. We got to get through 2 more games at least in Miami first before we can even worry about where Ole Miss will go next. Either way, I'd be excited about Hattiesburg or Baton Rouge. That's an easy trip to make for a super regional. But yeah, LSU would certainly be out for revenge. And we have Jay Johnson and Jacob Berry, who we're very familiar with in super regionals on that team. Not a fan of that rematch as you are either. So we'll see what happens. First things first, though, got to beat Miami this afternoon coming up in just under an hour. Going to be on ESPN Plus. Yes, unfortunately, you're going to have to listen to John Jay. For those of you asking, that is the color commentator for that one. St. Louis Cardinals fan here. Big fan of John as a player. Just not super cut out for the broadcast booth.
No, definitely needs a little work in the old sportscaster broadcasting school.
But you know what? Everybody's got to start somewhere. You know, maybe he'll have more opportunities and get better at it. Either way, I'm not worried about the broadcasters. I'm worried about Ole Miss winning the game, and hopefully that's what we'll see in a little bit. Chris, as always, it has been a pleasure. Really love doing these shows with you. Thanks for all the people who watch along and comment. We're really excited to bring these shows to you a lot here at the Rebel Walk. Hotty toddy, go Rebels, and hopefully we'll see a win today, Chris.
Yep, hotty toddy, everybody, and we will see everyone tomorrow. Hopefully.
Have a great afternoon.